Vice President Biden will be visiting Georgia and Ukraine shortly. That appears to be part of a U.S. effort to reassure those two countries after President Obama's visit to Moscow that those two countries have high priority in U.S. relations. What are your expectations from the Biden visit?
This question is the prolongation of previous one, and we see the fact that the Vice President Biden is traveling to Georgia and Ukraine means that, again, U.S. administration views these problems as similar in nature, the problems of these countries, and also United States considers Ukraine and Georgia its strategic partners and allies. Therefore, we expect that during this visit we will get once again reassurance for our security, sovereignty. We will get assurances that U.S. will use all its foreign policy and diplomatic means to prevent any military actions against Georgia, and plus also we would be facing more increased role of the United States in terms of solving problems on the ground. We are extremely thankful for Vice President Biden for his assistance previous year, and you remember his $1 billion assistance package initiative, who was extremely timely and helpful to help us to remove all the consequences of the war and to bring Georgian economy again on the track of the development. And the fact that our country is still developing, economy is still working, and investors are coming is largely thanks to Vice President Biden's initiative. And I think now we are in a very good position to review the further steps, further synchronized steps in the foreign policy and international arena, and also to synchronize our policies in terms of having more U.S. engagement in the processes in the region, more U.S. engagement in the discussion of the problems, and of course then setting the strategies how to solve these problems. And I'm sure, in my personal opinion, that the United States right now has a very strong moral high ground to be a strong player in the region and to be a player who can mediate the solution of the problems. And the fact that President Obama number of times mentioned it during his visit in Russian Federation, and Vice President Biden in Munich conference announced this new reset policy, we view it as an important element of the increased U.S. role in our region. And we hope that improved U.S.-Russia relation will be also positively contributing to the solution of the problems that we have on the ground.
In Washington, for several years, there has been concern that President Saakashvili in Georgia and President Yushchenko in Ukraine have both gone out of their way to be critical of Russia, of Moscow, of Putin's leadership, and that this has complicated relations between those countries and Russia more than would be ideal. There's also a widespread perception in Washington that as Russia has become more and more authoritarian under President Putin since he took over at the end of 1999, that the authorities in Moscow have increasingly used very strong anti-U.S. propaganda as a way to buttress their legitimacy in Russia, and they have used harsh rhetoric toward Georgia and Ukraine as a way to increase their legitimacy at home. Do you think Georgia, and I won't ask you about Ukraine since you're ambassador to Georgia, but do you think Georgia should moderate some of its rhetoric toward Moscow and seek accommodation with Russia? For example, should Georgia be willing to open the railway and road traffic through Abkhazia so that economic ties can be developed further between Georgia, Armenia, and Russia?
That's a very important question. And since the first days President Saakashvili and his government came to power, our first message to Russian Federation was that we want the new relations with Russia. We offered our own reset policy with Russia. Unfortunately, the power of Georgia was not convincing enough Russians to discuss this issue with us and to really reset our relations. And this was not just a bare word, but we made a very concrete proposals, and one of them, by the way, was the reopening of the railways through Abkhazia. And even there was a fact-finding mission. Georgian and Abkhaz railway experts together examined the railway and made an assessment what needed to reinvest in terms of improving the technical capabilities. And this issue was almost to be agreed on the technical level, and also we had other regional countries like Armenia extremely interested to have this project implemented, but then it was blocked by the Russian Federation due to some political considerations. So it's not about the rhetorics, it's about the values, and it's about the vision of how Russia views the world and how Georgia views the world. We want to be an independent country. We want to make our choices by our own without any interference in our domestic affairs. And Russia's thinking, unfortunately, till today was based on the 19th century paradigms, like areas of influence or spheres of privileged interest, etc. But this is not acceptable anymore. And therefore, there is a number of statements in the international media and the press from the Russian officials that the problem is the personality of President Yushchenko or personality of President Saakashvili. But I think this is a part of the Russian propaganda as well. Because Georgia, President Saakashvili is the third president of our country since we regained our independence, and there was no single president Russian political system liked once they were trying to promote Georgia's independence and sovereignty. So therefore, the problem is in Russia and its political system that they inherited, and unfortunately they embraced this heritage. This is the Soviet past, and this problem will be resolved when they will make a decision that Russia accepts the modern rules, accepts the rules of international law in the 21st century, and that was exactly that President Obama was pointing when he met with the young generation of Russian students in Moscow. And I hope that this generation will be the generation who will soon come to the power in Russia, and they will make decisions adequate to the Russian interests, and that will be really very strong also contribution to the international peace and security.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. I appreciate your taking the time for this interview. You may or may not know that you're widely considered in Washington to be one of the most successful new ambassadors in Washington, so I congratulate you and wish you good luck.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's really a pleasure to have this opportunity, and I'm looking forward to other opportunities as well to meet with you and to discuss the issues that are really very important in our agenda and important for the United States. Thank you. Thank you.